Hey there, fellow colony builders, Rhadamant here. Thank you for tuning in to Oxygen Not Included Dino Armageddon. Episode 2, Building Basic Amenities. So, talking about some of the other plants around here while we're waiting, I did explain the overgrow fig nodes where the vines creep outwards and can be harvested. In this case, we can actually set this to auto-harvest. Then we have the snack dishes, which are single use. You can't plant them. The mimica buds, and the mimica buds are like butterfly chrysalises, and the butterflies are pollinators for other plants. So they're often required to incorporate into your designs. And speaking of which, Sushi, you're going to have improved farming. So, don that cap. There you go. Alright, research. Just completed. We have filtration research. So now we're going to get up to the water sieve. And I'm going to leave the lump alone. I'm not going to necessarily displace him at the moment. We don't need to, like, really deal with that. Just leave it be. Then the sweat corn. The sweat corn is a plant that needs to be pollinated by mimicas. They have a pretty tolerant internal body temp. They need to be in oxygen, carbon dioxide, polluted oxygen. Life cycle of 12 days. Pressure is pretty wide as well, and they're fertilized with peat. So we can start planting those to keep us fed. Because I do intend to just eat grizzly food, unless we absolutely need to start cooking. Because the thing about cooking is it takes labor, it takes heat, it takes power, and all those things I don't really have in high supply. So it's not something I intend to bother with, cooking that is, unless we absolutely need to for morale reasons. Alright, some of the other crops around that are immediately adjacent, we have the ring rose bushes, and these are just decor. These are just decorative plants. Alright, there we go. Now we have our cots. For a better barracks. So as far as the rooms go, you have Lux barracks, which we could... The thing is, comfy beds is not exactly easy to make in this biome. The reason is Drecos aren't a thing. And Drecos are a lot... Drecos are really easy to ranch for plastics. For, like, comfy beds and the like. But because there's not an easy source of plastics here, until you start to do oil refining, I'm not going to worry about a Lux barracks for quite some time as a result. So it's something that, like, I'll keep in the back of my head once we get down to the oil biome. But certainly not urgently pushing towards it. But by that measure, by the time we have plastic, we might as well just do private bedrooms, not Lux barracks. So, you know, because it's even more morale. The rate hall is relatively easy to put together. Minimum size of 32 tiles. This has 27 tiles, so maybe what I'll do is I'll have it be a little bit wider than I had originally planned, so that this could be a great hall for the extra morale. Makes very little difference as I'm not, like, cutting into anything on the other side. And in fact, I could even go so far as to say, drop a door in there, because I could put, like, a refrigerator with food on the other side. So that we can continue outwards. I mean, the same could be said of the barracks, but that's not urgent at the moment. Alright, looking at some of the other resources I've got. There is a bunch of fig vines, and having them grow wild and collecting the figs would be nice. So for me to be able to collect the ones adjacent to the printing pod, all I need to do is have a ladder. But tapping into these, like, little pockets where the figs are going would be great. So that I don't have to worry about farming for a bit. So, as far as the Great Hall goes, it needs mess tables, and a fancy decor item, and a rec building. Pretty straightforward. So furniture. Mess, mess, mess. And then recreation, we can just have like a water cooler. Now the only risk here is you want to make sure that your water cooler source of water is not a polluted one, so I'll have to keep that in mind. And then it needs a fancy decor item, which we can research in... Actually, let's research that right now. Interior decor. I don't see why not. Another thing to put on our research is to work towards the nature reserve sign, because having a massive morale boost really early on is going to definitely help the duplicates, the dupes that we have here, get their like positive mood. So researching park sign pretty soon as well, because we have the structure, which is room size 111, and not all the ceilings are in yet, but room size 111 ranking at 6 plants, and the nature reserve here can be up to 120 and needs 4 plants. So this is exactly what we're looking for. In fact, I could probably save labor by not even putting in some of the flooring for now, because I don't think it strictly needs it to meet minimum requirements. And those dino legs be farmed. Everything can be ranched in the game. It just all depends on whether you want the resources that they're ranched for or not. And in my case, I don't really care about the lumps until I have a need for a lot of peat. But given our colony size and population, I probably am not going to need to ranch them. So another thing I could do to make use of the space, so we can have a nature reserve that also doubles as storage. Right? Because as far as the nature reserve goes, it says no industrial machinery. I'm just adding storages. So these are totally permissive. Now that we've got interior decor, I can have the Great Hall be a Great Hall. Oh, why aren't you assigned to sleeping? There we go. And let's get the park side. Because we're in cycle 7 now, I think it's probably around the right time to set Macho up on a proper schedule. So this is going to be Night Owl. And the Night Owl schedule is going to have work during the nighttime. And then we'll sleep. The downtime will be the same. Well, maybe downtime. So normally they sleep and then they have 1 bath time after sleep. So bedtime will be here, bath time, and then right before sleep. Well, actually, we want to be working during downtime. So let's move these a little bit as well. I'll sleep in the middle of the day. And then right before sleep will be downtime. And then right after sleep will be bath time. And that should work, right? Because it's the same amount of sleep, rec, and bath, just pivoted so that he can work during those nighttime hours. Because a night owl has a big stat bonus during those nighttime hours. All right, now that we have like a flower pot, stick a flower pot in there and plant one of the roses, the ring rose bushes. And then also in the chest here, I'm going to have all non-standard, and I'm going to take a look at it just to make sure all non-standard makes sense. So, like, no polluted dirt. Let's not pollute the boxes. But everything else seems to be fine. The other thing I might do in this case is have it be sweep only. Because I don't really intend to sweep up anything that I don't care about. Because labor costs for constantly sweeping things that don't matter is a big problem. So as it is now, this is a mess hall, and this is a barracks, but this will become a great hall pretty soon. Oh, I did the new schedule, but I didn't actually put him on it. Derp. There we go. I was like, he's asleep, but that doesn't make sense. So I'm planning on sweeping the areas that people spend the most time in so that they aren't upset by the poor decor. And yeah, now Malcho's on the proper schedule. Perfect. And this is a lot of storage boxes, especially for a no sweeps colony, or sweep only colony. So I shouldn't have to worry about that for a bit. Until I need specialty boxes for sublimators or polluted dirt or, you know, liquefied, you know, ices and the like. Well, for now, that's sufficient. And I'm just copying the settings and pasting them over, and Macho's almost done building the storages. And then we're sweeping up the research room so it can actually look nice, getting all the stuff out from under the ground. Also, let's go over to the power overlay and remove some of the unnecessary cables because they're ugly. That's why I put them in the walls. But sweeping up the floor where the storage is doesn't really matter because it's not commonly frequented space. That's sort of the thought process that I have. If we take a look at the decor overlay, it's not nice, yeah, but it's getting there. And we'll do the same in the bathroom at some point. There we go. So Macho's sleeping midday. As far as oxygen goes, it's still 100% breathable. So we're fine on that for a bit. And then Sushi is a tidy supplier, if I'm not mistaken. Bio is suit-wearing tidying, so he's tidying. Getting better at that is going to be good for strength. Attribute for athletics. Nice. Remove the wire behind the ladder going down. I'm going to keep it for now because I'm going to want power running down anyway. So we are pretty close to having the park sign. Awesome. And then almost all the storages have been built. And then we can work on other projects. So I'm mining this up here so that we can just build the roof of the bathroom and then I'll tidy up the roof. So if we take a look, we've got mess hall. Oh, it's because it doesn't have decor yet. Plant. Put that as a 9. Barracks. Lab. I just messed up the latrine because I'm like digging, but that was a latrine a minute ago. There we go. It's a great hall. So +6 morale. That's a lot of morale. That's a big windfall. And it cost me basically nothing. Alright, the decor in the research room is positive now. Being easily supplied by a pitcher pump just above. And there it is. We've got the park sign. So I'm going to plop a park sign maybe here. And that should satisfy in the nature reserve. So between the Great Hall and the nature reserve, the barracks and the latrine, That's a lot of extra morale. So if we take a look at the skills here, right now we're sitting at 787, but soon that will be jumping up a lot higher from all the benefits that we have. So here we go, nature reserve. Awesome. All right, with all of that done, yeah, building lacks resources. The meteor blaster, it's like, yeah, I know. With all of that done, let's see what we're going to do next. So the priorities that I had was a nature reserve mess hall and barracks, which I've all built. So what I want to start to do is build basic farming. Build a small farm. And that's going to allow us to not worry about arcade cows for a long time, because grizzly foods are totally fine. As far as farming goes... Ooh. Maybe I'll put it above the bathroom? No, I don't really like it there. Maybe what I'll do is build it here. It doesn't need to be that big. Like, this is much taller than it needs to be, but I'm going to do it anyway. I'm going to excavate this. Actually, that's bigger than it really need to be. Maybe I will put it down here. Oops, can't do that. That would ruin the nature reserve. Well, actually, the nature reserve has 6 plants, so that wouldn't ruin it, but I wouldn't want to do that anyway. There we go. The other thing I want to do is to make it a 2-wide shaft all the way down. One of the big reasons for this is so that carbon dioxide has a much easier time dropping out and pooling at the bottom, so that when I start CO2 filtering, we can CO2 filter much easier. And I plan on farming sweat corn, just because it's like really easy and straightforward. So that's going to be our food of choice. Alright, research. Is there any research I want immediately? So as far as farming goes, I already have the farming station, which I don't even really intend to do. Passively farming sweat corn's totally fine. I'm not going to worry about ranching just yet. Power regulation up to smart battery would be pretty nice. Smart batteries allow you to automate your power grid. But because we are barely using power at all, that's also a really low need. So if we consider the next project to be water filtration, I'm going to want the water sieve and maybe the liquid reservoir. The thing is, with things like liquid shutoff and the like, I don't have easy access to plastics. So my water filtration is going to be very basic. I'm not going to try to filter out germs. So what I'm hoping to do is draw drinking water from one pitcher pump and then have the other water supply go through just be for bathrooms and not for drinking, and like lock it behind a mechanical door or something like that. So it can be germy, but it doesn't matter. Ooh, free oxalate, sure. JJ, thank you for the resub. All right. So the water sieve is done. I did mention maybe wanting the liquid reservoir. The other thing that we're going to probably want early on is the deodorizer as well, because we are going to have like compost. And speaking of compost, I don't even have a method to compost at the moment. So I'll put a compost bin. God, I don't really know where I want to put it. Whatever. I'll put it here for now, but obviously it wants to move. Ideally, I'd probably want to put the compost behind, like, a liquid lock or something, because compost can get really stinky really easily. But I'm not worried about that right from the get-go. There we go. So now we have a pretty easy way to pool carbon dioxide down here, and that way we'll be able to to make a much more breathable base. And during the night hours, if we take a look at Macho's bio, you can see his like excavation stats is like 6 because he's a night owl, so he's like ripping through these tasks quick, which is awesome. Doing a pretty good job working on that little farm. All right, decor. Yeah, there's a little ugliness here that needs to get tidied up, but I'm not too not fretting about that. It also might not be a bad idea to move the refrigeration box or ration box, or actually eventually incorporate a fridge so we don't have a lot of food spoilage. I plan on doing that eventually. Oh, cool. One of the butterflies just like automatically entered our farm, so I'm gonna close the door now. So that I keep it there and it can start pollinating. So these I'm just gonna call them butterflies, the mimicas. They will pollinate the plants and allow them to grow because pollination is a requirement. So what I did was I planted one of the mimica buds here so that the farm has its own planted pollinator. But being able to like capture a random pollinator by chance works for me. I mean, that's great. So no complaints there at all. All right, distillation just got... No, I didn't just research distillation. I researched ventilation. Sweet. And we're starting to get rotted food, hence the need for a refrigerator at some point. The 2 spots over here is for one of the farming stations if we end up needing a farming station. I didn't really intend to incorporate one in this build design because probably 8 corn stalks will be plenty of like passive food. But I have the ability to add more just in case. All right, taking a look at their morale, 16, 12, 16. I think I'm doing pretty good. I think they're probably going to have a lot of positive responses pretty soon. And yeah, this butterfly is just pollinating everything. Awesome. All right, pressure management got researched, and all we have left is the carbon skimmer. So what I'd like to do is drop this ladder, like the main colony shaft ladder, a little bit lower to pull the carbon down here at sort of the roughly the bottom. The concept is then to liquid lock, airlock, to be able to explore the rest of the map through an airlock so I don't have to worry about outgassing and anything leaking into my colony or whatever. But that will come after the small farm is done. Wow. Despite the fact that I've not been all that careful about food poisoning germs, I don't really have any food poisoning germs anywhere, which is awesome. Yep, the butterfly got out. Maybe I'll just like leave this door open so it flies back in on its own accord. These are like wild plants that, you know, I don't know, it's fine. Alright, so this is the reason this isn't a farm yet is we're going to need the farm station. And once it becomes a farm, once it's actually a proper farm, it has a benefit where then it can be tended to increase growth if we allow the farm station. I would like to designate it as a farm even if I don't intend to use the farm station though. Just as like a, hey, at least it technically is a farm. Okay, cool. So take a look at the rooms. Yep, that's greenhouse. Awesome. I'm going to disable it. And let's close this door to keep the pollinator inside. And our small farm is done. So we just need to plant one more sweet corn and finished. I wouldn't mind sweeping that up because it's kind of messy. But I'm going to sweep up as like a 3 because it's like a lot less needed than sweeping here and here and here, which I'm going to have higher. Food is included. All right, the next task I have is set up a washroom and basic water filtration. So basic water filtration will not filter for germs. So maybe what we'll do is we'll just use this source of water. I mean, it's like literally adjacent. That works for me. So I'm going to destroy these two tiles, build a pneumatic door, or actually build a manual airlock so we don't physically go into that room. Because what I want is this water will be clean. Regular water, not polluted water, but not necessarily germ-free. So if it's not necessarily germ-free and I have a manual airlock, we can lock the manual airlock so that we don't fill the water cooler with germy water. Therefore, we avoid the food poison risk, which is entirely the point. So we'll have a manual airlock there, and then we'll just drop a ladder down, and I'll excavate it out a little bit, like that, so it's more like squared up. It also would not be necessarily a bad idea to like incorporate air tiles into it, so that if the water level decreases, it can't also become a pool for carbon dioxide as we excavate more of the map around it. What was that warning? It was like warning noises, but I don't know what for. Not my problem then. So this is a little bit more complicated of a setup as a result of all the airflow tiles, but so be it. It will prevent carbon pooling, which is helpful in the long run. And we're still at like almost 100% breathability. The oxalate is running out, but there's other pockets of oxalate that we could break into pretty easily. So I'm not in any sort of rush to set up ox diffusers using algae or anything like that just yet. Plus, we have a giant supply of algae just above our base, which is going to be easy to tap into if and when we need more algae for our diffusers. So we'll have showers, lavatories, and sinks in the final version. Guess I can put the showers down now. And with the population set to 3, I really don't need more than just like 2 of each. It would be completely overkill. So Macho is going to get a little cold, but he'll survive. I guess doing the construction during these night hours where his construction skills are particularly high comes with its own benefits. And then I can put up the water, let's see. I can put the water sieve here, and then just have it dump back in. Or, better yet, pool it into a reservoir so I don't have to continue pumping. So that I pump once and then just cycle it through power-free. That would probably be the best scenario. So we're going to work on that. So once I have more of the water infrastructure, I'll break down like one wash basin and one outhouse to transfer it over to a toilet and a sink and then do the other one. So that we don't have you know, we don't have the lack of toilets and sinks at any point in time. And there we go. That is a really high decor value for the grate. The decor value here is like pretty default. You know, we can eventually add trim and things, but I'm not too worried about that. The good news is, it's comfortable. And again, their morale is sitting at like 18, 16, 9, but that's just probably because Macho hasn't gone through the nature reserve in a bit. I'm going to do a sweep of 4 here, because having a nice lavatory is definitely a mood boost. And I'll probably also sweep the stuff in this vat here, so it's not materials that I don't have access to. Because if I do intend to lock the manual airlock... Well, the other problem is if I put the... So if I put the water sieve here, we can't change it out easily, so I might end up putting the sieve somewhere else so that I can keep this locked and not have to worry about it. Because if the sieve goes here, then that's not where you would have it locked. So decontamination just got done for the carbon skimmer and the deodorizer. And I did just mention that I would want a reservoir. So we'll research reservoir, and then as far as skills go, shield was the first one that got a second skill. I'm going to give him tinkering, so that he can refill the hamster wheel faster. A bit low-tech and brutal, but that's just how it is. Sure, I guess I'll go for a Shine Nymph. I don't intend to do anything with it. As long as it doesn't go into our... You know what? I'm going to close the barracks door so that it can't just, like, disturb our sleep. So, I guess the reservoir can go up there. And then I'll start, once the airflow tiles are done, I'll set up the plumbing. Or the start of the plumbing. And Macho was the second one to get a skill point. Despite the fact that he's doing mostly construction, I'm giving him super hard digging, because super hard digging will allow him to go through abyssalite. So that we can break out of our home biome. Because our home biome... Well, I guess our home biome isn't fully covered in abyssalite, because this, like, saltwater biome doesn't have an abyssalite, boundary. But most of the time, the boundaries between biomes are abyssalite covered. Although it's not here either. But, you know, a lot of them are. Just hold your breath, you're almost done. Alright, let's get that stuff swept. Salt seems to be the exception. Yeah, I mean, there's exceptions, of course. Certainly. So we're going to want, like, a liquid pump down here. The liquid pump is going to need a wire. And this is why I didn't get rid of the wire down the ladder, because we're going to need it. And then the liquid pump is going to feed, I think... Maybe what I'll do is put it... I don't know what this room is going to be. I haven't decided, but I can put the water sieve over here. So it's not in the way. And it's not, like, blocked off or anything. Nope. I guess the butterfly died. Sorry, Sweatcorn, but you'll have to wait. Now, there's obviously nowhere for the water to actually go just yet until I have the reservoir done, but... Hopefully Shield will start running on the, So, Shield, why aren't you operating? Priorities. Shield. Operate. the generator? It's probably because the generator is not as high priority as the 9s that I had swept up here. So let's reduce the cleaning duties to like a 6. And that should allow him to continue his research. So the Mimicabuds, if you're wondering, in order to get a butterfly, you just need like dirt fertilization. And like, you know, the temperature tolerance is huge. That ain't that difficult. And all this stuff in the water pool is almost tidied up. The outhouse, I'm going to set as 7s, as well as the sink, so that we don't have a situation where it's like out of service. The plan is to have like a deodorizer. So if it has a deodorizer, I might want to have it be like boxed in so that gases coming out of here have to go through the deodorizer. So I'll put the sneaky stuff back there. Them's the plans. Can't wait until their strength is a little bit higher, because the amount of back and forth for sweeping has been effortful. I am being warned that my kicals are low. In the case of low kicals, I can just dig up the single eat snack dishes for now. As long as I avoid the ones that are, you know... Actually, none of them are really included in my nature reserve, so that doesn't really matter. Now, I don't have a concept of where the, like, power backbone grid will be, so that's another thing I have to figure out before too long. Sushi. Let's give you improved tidying. That way you can pick stuff up better. And I've got a little bit more of the advanced research left to do, but it's getting done. As far as light levels go, so here's the light overlay. Unfortunately, we are like one tile away from the light level bonus. Flip-flopping it would have helped, but there wasn't space on the other side with, I mean, where I put my ladder. I mean, I don't care that much, so I'm not going to work to fix that. But it's unfortunate because I think we're not in light bonus for the supercomputer. Oh well. Alright, improved plumbing. Nice. Now we have improved plumbing. The idea is that we'll have fresh water ready to be put into the bathroom here, and then maybe what I'll do is I'll have a dirty water tank here instead. So a dirty water tank before the sieve there. Not that there should ever really be a pool of dirty water, but in case... Oops, that was backwards. In case there ever is, we'll be able to pull it rather than have everything back up. And then for refinement, for compost and rot and all that... Ooh, that's floating. That doesn't really help. Clicking is apparently the hardest thing for me to do. There. So, clean water, pea water. But nothing in this loop Nothing within this loop is germ sanitized. For reference. So this will... I'll just liquid bridge it. Go into the reservoir. And then the clean water. Getting ready to feed the showers. And then the showers feeding the pea water tank, which then feeds the sieve. And then once that infrastructure is set up, we can start phasing in actual toilets and sinks. Thank you for tuning in to Oxygen Not Included Dino Armageddon, which originally streamed live on Twitch. If you have any feedback or questions for me, let me know in the comments below. If you'd like to catch a live stream of mine, Rhadamant.com has my stream schedule and countdown timers to upcoming streams. If you'd like to join my online gaming community on Discord, Rhadamant.com has a link to it, as does the description of this video. Thank you so very much for watching. Special thank you to my Twitch subscribers, Patreon patrons, and viewers like you that support the channel and made it all the way to the credits. Thank you so very much. I hope to catch you next episode or an upcoming stream. Farewell, fellow dupes.